Alright, big run. Yep, it happened. If you can't tell by my tone, it was not that good. I don't want you to think that it's going to be all negative. There was still some good stuff about Big Run, and seeing what Nintendo's already done to improve Splatfest, I wholeheartedly believe Big Run can be peak Splatoon 3 in the future. But before we get into this video, I'm trying to hit 25,000 subscribers before 2023. If you want new daily Splatoon content, then make sure to subscribe to my channel. It'd also mean the world to me if you help me reach my goal. Alright, video time. So, what did Big Run get right? Well, Wahoo World worked shockingly well for daytime salmonid boss hunting. Its High Tide, for me, managed to feel better than Maroon Bay's High Tide. The Square's Grizzco lobby music was some of the best Splatoon music to date and captures how scary Big Run should feel. The Square skybox was really cool. It was a good start that they doubled the bonus meter as well. The Kohozuna statue looks pretty cool. Now, what does Big Run do wrong? So I've noticed a lot of people saying Wahoo World is one of the best Salmon Run stages, so let's dive a little deeper into that. Is it really one of the best Salmon Run stages? It's good for daytime, however there are 3 nighttime modes available to use on Wahoo: Griller, Glowflies, and Mothership. That's 3 of 8 playable night modes. The fact that not even half of the night modes are playable should be a pretty big red flag. Wahoo just isn't big enough to function properly. Wahoo functions okay as one time, and odds are never again if there's only going to be one Big Run a season. But to all the people that want Wahoo to stay a permanent Salmon Run stage, I think the taste would get pretty bitter pretty quickly. Coho wasn't really the best, especially on High Tide. There just wasn't enough room for it. This may be a me issue, I'm not 100% sure, but did anyone else feel like matchmaking had a lot more people operating at like 20%? Like, even at Executive, it just felt like there were a lot of people just not really pulling their weight. This very well could be a me thing though. This may also be a me thing, but the clickbait remix just really wasn't that good. For one, the song is just too short and doesn't sound good looping back to the beginning. Similar issue with the King Salmonid music, except that song has redeeming qualities. I feel like there's better regular battle songs they could have remixed, but I guess Clickbait is the main Splatoon 3 song, so it makes sense to go with that. So, with the shorter issues out of the way, let's dive into the bigger issues holding this mode down. The 2 key big factors, risk and reward, to which there are basically none of either. I mean, there was quite literally no risk of anything unless you want to count your trophy color, which then brings us back to reward. So, there was technically 2 rewards for this big run, one being the trophy and the second being extra rotation of bonus capsules. It took me 45 minutes to burn through all 24 bonus capsules before I started to hit the delay points. Big Run's comparable mode, Splatfests, are a prime example of what Big Run should do better than them, and it just doesn't. While Splatfests don't impact the game, people do their best for their Splatfest teams to get immortalized in the top 100 list, if you're playing for pro that is, and winning teams get more sea snails for winning. Giving a higher reward to those who work harder provides a great risk-reward factor. Don't work as hard, you don't get as good of a reward. However, in Big Run, no one gets immortalized for getting the most eggs. You don't get a useful reward for your work, you get a statue that takes up way too much room in your locker that most people won't end up seeing. It's not something that holds any value above showing you did good in a mode when it happened. You could also compare that to the Splatfest 100 list, but that's more specific. It's set in stone that you were one of the best of the best. Most players won't get there, but it's a high reward to go for if you're interested in it, and if you don't make it, you still get an important resource for your work. Big Run doesn't give you that. So in my last video about Big Run, I talked about a hypothetical idea to take a map out of rotation if the community didn't do well enough in a Big Run. And before the Big Run, I could still see eye to eye with the people that didn't think taking a map out of rotation would be a good idea if we didn't do good enough. But after the first Big Run, we need it. We need some higher risk to raise the stakes of Big Run. There doesn't feel like a good reason to play Big Run outside of trying Salmon Run on a regular battle stage and going for the trophy if you even care about that. The base concept of Salmon Run on regular battle stages is solid, it's a great foundation and it links up with Splatoon's lore perfectly, but they don't fully commit to what the mode could be. Big Run should be like 5 times more impactful than Splatfest, and yet it's like half as impactful. Splatoon is supposed to be a living, breathing world that changes as it goes along. As soon as we got the announcement of eggs needed for trophies, that was it. It was over. And it just ended so abruptly because we had nothing to lose and little to gain. Like, imagine going through the square after a narrow Big Run victory and seeing everyone's reaction to the narrow win in a Big Run. Or what if we failed? Of course, everyone would meme on Wahoo World being gone for a while, But what about in the future if they take stages like Museum? It would make people feel bad that we lost, and we'd have to deal with our loss for a brief period of time until we get the map back in rotation. That right there is risk, but what about reward? So obviously there's one easy solution to this. Give us more scales. Either more scales per King Salmonid win, a few scales after winning a normal round, or what if they did something cool like have every round end in a King Salmonid fight for the big run? I had an idea of my own. What if they just fully disabled the cap for bonus capsules and replaced it with like every other 100 points, you get a bonus capsule with no delays on points for the whole rotation. So every other 100 points you get is a bonus, and that's how it would stay for a full rotation. No slowing down after a few thousand points. That would be a good reward. Upping the cap to 2400 was a good step, but it's a small step nonetheless. The point is, this is one of the few unique modes to Splatoon 3. This should be one of the most impactful things in the game, and the first one had little to nothing to contribute to the overall state of the game. This was something they had plans for since launching Splatoon 2, and what we saw from the first Big Run was a big dud. I still have hope for this mode though. Big Run should be the biggest event in Splatoon 3, not just the passing moments of just this thing that happens and then we go back to normal like nothing happened. Nintendo turned Splatfest around with the Pokemon Splatfests. With the right amount of dedication, they could turn Big Run around too. So, to close with some personal opinions, I know there's a large group of people that enjoyed Big Run for what it was, and I'm not trying to say you're wrong for thinking that. But for me and a lot of others, we were let down with Big Run. We got our hopes up because we rightfully expected Nintendo to deliver the super cool Salmonid Invasion mode where we save the city from Salmonids. And what we got was Salmon Run on Oahu World and nothing much else. I don't think anything about that puts the big in Big Run. Big Run should change the world of Splatoon, not just show up on Friday and then leave on Sunday. Nintendo could solve this whole problem by adding some risk and giving us a good reward. Participation trophies are cool and all, but I can't buy the pink slop suit with my Kohozuna trophy. Salmon Run has the perfect currency to reward us with, and yet they only allow us to earn it with King Salmonid fights. And I don't know about you, but I think Big Runs hold a little bit more urgency than your standard Sakai Station Kohozuna fight. But anyways, that's it from me. What did you think about Big Run? Do you think it lived up to the hype? Were you looking for something else with Big Run? Do you think there's any hope for this mode? Let me know in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe to help me get to 25,000 subscribers before 2023. Alright gamers, that's it from me. See ya.